You may have been seeing a lot of banned book posts this last week, and a lot of people proudly waving their copy of said banned book. If you are as confused as I was, I do not blame you.
Who do I blame for all of this?
So let's get to the bottom of the issue together. I'm Evelyn Pezdek, and welcome to Sketchy Point of View, where I blend art and intellect on a video canvas in order to bring my sketchy perspectives to life. Coming up, I'm going to clarify what Banned Books Week is about and why it's a ruse, and what is the underlying agenda of the American Library Association. But before we get started, if you've never seen one of my videos, welcome to the channel. And if you've been here before and like coming back, please subscribe, like, and comment. I love hearing your sketchy opinions even more than drawing my own. So last week, I saw a lot of posts on social media about reading banned books, and evidently this is a thing that happens every year, but I had no clue what it was about, and I was dumbfounded as to how people are posting pictures of themselves reading books that are banned if they're banned. Banned where? Not knowing anything about it, I thought it might be a celebration of certain book titles, or maybe a campaign to create interest in reading classic books by showing how they used to be edgy back in the day. Well, I was wrong on both accounts, and I'm so glad I looked into it, because now I'm convinced that Banned Books Week is a smokescreen that the ALA is using to deliberately place graphic content into the hands of young readers, and sometimes very, very young readers.
Too young for this crap.
I'll be the first to admit there's a lot of discerning people who have been on top of this for a long time and know so much more about this topic than I do. I'm just someone whose favorite pastimes are raining on parades and throwing stones at glass houses, especially if large groups of people are gathered in them. I pretty much think the sheeple are almost always crazy or up to no good, but regardless, I still like to see what their crazy is about. So Banned Books Week is a yearly event supported by the American Library Association. The ALA, the voice of America's libraries, is the largest, oldest, and most influential library association in the world. Banned books are not actually banned, as I'm sure you're all aware, because people keep showing their copies. The ALA is using the word banned to describe books that have been challenged in schools and libraries by parents usually, but concerned citizens and educators as well. You'll likely see images of classic literature that has been challenged at one time or another for one reason or another being publicized as a title that was heroically rescued from the fires of ignorant flame-stoking simpletons in the public square. But if you take a look at the challenged book list, you will find that your beloved classics are just a convenient camouflage for more nefarious content to hide among. Books like The Bluest Eye, which I read an excerpt of in a previous video, are sharing the same space with Fahrenheit 451 and appearing to be legitimized by the title to its left or its right on the display or in the list. I visited my own local library on the last 2 days of Banned Books Week to check out the displays and see what titles are offered. My local library is next door to a middle school, an elementary school, a rec center, across the street from a skate park. Also, to my church family, you know who you are, I can see our building from the steps of the library, so just so you know that what I'm talking about is in our front yard, and we're a light in this neighborhood, but it's really, really, really dark over here on this side of the trolley tracks.
I'm keeping the light on.
At my library, I saw a lot of familiar titles like The Great Gatsby, The Giver, To Kill a Mockingbird, and Push. Push? What's Push? I don't know. What is Push? Let's read an excerpt from it and find out. I'm not familiar with this title. Must be good because it's sitting next to Kill a Mockingbird, right? How you gonna marry me when you is my daddy? Me is illegal, but she kept her mouth shut so the don't turn into a beating. It start to feel good. Start coming. Knowing a man can put his in you, gush white stuff in your, you could get pregnant. I'm 12 now. I've been knowing about that since I was 5 or 6. Always known about. This is located inches away from To Kill a Mockingbird on the display. Push is hiding in plain sight, and there are no age restrictions on this title. In fact, the ALA's Literary Bill of Rights aims to keep it that way. Libraries should challenge censorship in the fulfillment of their responsibility to provide information and enlightenment. Do you feel enlightened after having listened to that? I do, but not for the reasons they're talking about. A person's right to use a library should not be denied or abridged because of origin, Age, background, or views. All people, regardless of origin, age, background, or views, possess a right to privacy and confidentiality in their library use. Libraries should advocate for, educate about, and protect people's privacy, safeguarding all library use data, including personally identifiable information. Basically, the ALA believes children should be able to check out whatever books they want and that they deserve privacy and confidentiality, including from parents in those decisions. Anyone can check it out. Anyone can read it who walks past the display. Books like Push are being passed off as valuable and championed alongside To Kill a Mockingbird. Literally alongside, as in it was displayed that way, as you can see in the video. All 50 states maintain obscenity laws, which typically prohibit the distribution of obscene material to minors and impose heavy fines and prison sentences for violations. But the vast majority, like 43 or 44 of them, have adopted exemptions for schools, public libraries, and museums, and they've been doing this since the 60s, 70s, and 80s, to ensure educators could provide full information to children on topics such as biology, health, and sex education without facing expensive litigation. I'm reading this from an article in the Washington Post, but they got it from an advocacy group called everylibrary.org. So that means that me, being an artist, might be fined or imprisoned for distributing obscene material to minors. But if I were a librarian or a teacher distributing that same content, then I would be protected from any legal action. So depending on my profession, I'm either a groomer or an educator. Make that make sense? Does this make you, as a parent, feel any better about what your kid just heard or viewed? In some ways, I think it's worse. And I think it's worse because teachers are trusted authority figures. And just like the classic books that legitimize the obscene ones, these authority figures also lend credibility to obscene content just because of who they are and the position they occupy in society and in your child's life. When their creepy uncle says something off color, they're more likely to disregard it, but when their teacher does, they consider it. And I do have something to say to you if you are one of these educators, but this goes for anyone who interacts with children. You may or may not be protected from the law, but you are still bound to a higher form of justice. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him to have a great millstone fastened around his neck and to be drowned in the depth of the sea. That's from Matthew 18:6. You will be better off deleted than to suffer the judgment God has for you in this instance. He deals justly with people who hurt children, and our laws or lack of them are not an obstacle for the Creator of all things. Be warned. The good thing is that there are some very concerned people looking out for your kids and doing what they can to protect them from government-sanctioned grooming practices. That is what this is. There are curators across the country that are checking out books, attending school board meetings, and speaking out against obscenity in children's spaces. The bitter pill to swallow is that with every challenge, the offending book ends up on the banned book list and popularized alongside legitimate literary works. And while that might seem like a win for evil, keep in mind that this tactic can only work for so long. Authors continue to write obscene books, educators continue to present them as valid, curators challenge them, they are added to the list, which is becoming more and more diluted with hypersexualized content with every title, and eventually there will be so few legitimate works to hide behind that the banned book list will finally show its demonic child grooming face.
This is all a bunch of crap.
Let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. The emperor has no clothes, and he's exposing himself to the kiddos in the library. What do you all think of Banned Books Week? Were you like me and just wondering why people kept posting pictures of their not-so-banned books? Were you surprised by the sketchier side of the issue? I'd love to hear your perspective, so please comment and join the conversation. And believe it or not, I am all about protecting the freedom of speech. I will absolutely support your right to publish and sell smutty books. I'll probably think you're gross, and I won't buy it. But I still believe freedom of speech is important. I just don't believe your book is suitable for children, and it shouldn't occupy their spaces. The public library is not a safe space for children. If you're a parent, this is not a place to let your guard down.